Well, Razorback fans, CBS Sports ranked their top Power 4 college football coaches, and Sam Pittman further down on the list. But why actually disagree with it? I'll talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday at this point in time, as I know Razorback baseball will be playing tomorrow in the SEC tournament. But today we're going to discuss a few things about college football, really, about the college football playoff expansion, a coach wanting 40 teams, but also why I believe the SEC baseball tournament should move out of Hoover. So we'll get into all of those things. But I wanted to start today's show with discussing this list that CBS Sports comes out with. And now I'm going to be honest, folks. Everybody makes a list. You know, like we see it during the offseason that people are just trying to figure out ways to, put some content together, just like me. And, they do rankings, and a lot of them do coaches and teams and quarterbacks and all of that good stuff. And so, you could take it for whatever it is. But whenever it's a group of individuals that put it together that I respect and that actually has a lot of clout, I guess if you want to call it that, from the side of things when it comes to college football, I tend to look at it a little bit more deeply. And in this particular case, people from CBS Sports as well as 24/7 Sports and the experts covering college football have weighed in and have ranked the Power 4 coaches of the 2025 season, heading into 2025-2026. Now, there are 68 different coaches mentioned. They're going to release their top 25 coaches, I guess, at a later date. Who knows? Maybe they're releasing it today. But as you can imagine, Sam Pittman in Arkansas, they're not in the top 25. They got mentioned here. So I was looking at it, and it's some names of note. Like the coach that's dead last on this list is Jeff Lebby from Mississippi State, which I understand. I mean, he is a guy that went 2-10 last year and is a first-year head coach last year. Don't really know what he's going to be able to accomplish. Maybe they're better, maybe they're not, but still, he's dead last. I get it. May not say that he for sure is and that he's just he's Chad Morris level. I don't go that far. But that's the worst coach, according to the experts here in the Power 4, as well as the worst coach in the SEC. Well, Sam Pittman is the next worst coach in the SEC, according to this list. He is ranked at 57th. 57th. And to give you an idea of who he's ranked ahead of, and some of these names are kind of like, whoa, really? But Sharon Moore is at 58 from Michigan. How about that? Mike Locksley at Maryland is at 59. Scott Satterfield's at Cincinnati at 60. Deshaun Foster, UCLA, ironic enough, is at 61. Scott Frost back at UCF. Keep forgetting he's back at 62. Brent Pry of Virginia Tech at 63. David Braun at 64 at Northwestern. Tony Elliott of Virginia at 65. Arizona has Brent Brennan at 66. And Frank Reich at Stanford is at 67. Those are the coaches that are ranked below Sam Pittman. Everybody else in the Power 4 conferences, and we're talking about the Big 10, the Big 12, SEC, ACC, every one of those coaches are ranked above Sam Pittman. Now, here's what the excerpt says about Sam Pittman. It says, quote, if we were to ask our voters to vote to rank coaches on the likelihood we wouldn't be ranking them at all next year, Sam Pittman could very well finish at the top. He entered into the 2024 season on the hot seat and finished 7-6, but the 3-5 mark in SEC play didn't turn the dial down too much. Pittman's Arkansas teams have never finished a season with a winning record in conference play, and unless there's a jump forward in 2025, they could look to start over in Fayetteville. Man, I feel like I've heard that before. In 2024, a year ago, his rank was 58th. So he did move up one spot. The highest he got during the year last year was 39th. I assume that's after the Tennessee game. And the lowest that he got ranked was 60th during the season. But right now he's at 57th. I know that there are a lot of you that are very anti-Sam Pittman, and I understand it. I don't argue with you on that. If you've listened to my podcast, you'll know and understand that I am one of those who, just like everybody else, you feel like you have to mention this, but I like Sam Pittman as a person. I appreciate Sam Pittman. I even respect Sam Pittman. But after the stretch that we saw after 5 years, I felt like at the end of last year, it was a good time to go and move a different direction. Didn't happen. He's the head coach. I'm going to hope and pray that he wins. I'm going to root for him. I'm hoping that they can really prove me wrong this season. I'm going to be hopeful for all of those things. But I'm going to be honest. 57th. Second worst coach ranked in the SEC. I disagree. I actually believe Sam Pittman should be higher on this list. Not a whole lot higher, but should be higher. A few coaches that are ranked ahead of him, like Jake Dickert at Wake Forest, or Justin Wilcox at Cal, Bill Belichick, at 54th, Clark Lee of Vanderbilt at 53, Brent Venables at Oklahoma at 52. You have Barry Odom, shout out to Coach O, 51st at Purdue. It's his first year there. And then Bill O'Brien at 50th at Boston College. So a lot of names there, interesting names there. But how I've always looked at it, folks, and I believe this is something that I've always looked at when it comes to coaches, especially in college football, since, my goodness, I started getting into radio. And so it's been about 10 or so years. But the way that I've always approached it and looked at it is, if you're ever wondering about your coach, if you're ever wondering about your guy and where he ranks or how you truly feel about him, take all the coaches in your league, not in college football in general, but just in your league, in your conference, in the SEC, and go through them one by one. And ask yourself, each one of those coaches, would you trade straight up for that coach over your current coach? Now, looking at the entirety of the SEC, I think the vast majority of you would take most of the other college football coaches in the SEC over Sam Pittman. I would assume. Because it's been, a little bit of success for other people. Like, we'll go through the list here, and this is what we'll play this game. And this is how you're going to see my point. We're going to play a little bit of a game here, but I think Kirby Smart's the best coach in the SEC. Would you trade for him? Yeah. In fact, we're not even going to go through any details of it. Yes, I would do that. Would you trade for Steve Sarkisian at Texas? Yes. Would you trade for Brian Kelly at LSU? Yes. Not talking about character or anything like that. I'm just talking about the coach. Would you trade for Kalen DeBoer? Yes. Would you trade for Lane Kiffin? Yes. Would you trade for Josh Heupel? Yes. Would you trade for Drinkwitz? I mean, not for him as a person. I would really be pissed if they ever hired him here at Arkansas. But, record is what it is, and he's won. So maybe we kind of flirt with that a little bit, because Missouri's definitely got the benefit of great scheduling every year too. Mark Stoops at Kentucky? I don't think I would. I'm being honest. I don't think I would. Hugh Freeze at Auburn? The guy was really good at Ole Miss when he was cheating his hide off, but now what's he done at Auburn that really stands out? I know he's been there for a short period of time, but geez, it's not like he set the world on fire. It's not like I feel like, oh man, Hugh Freeze, just wait. It's about to get going this year. I don't feel that way. Brent Venables at Oklahoma? Dude's been a head coach for the first time, similar to what Sam Pittman was. Has he accomplished anything at Oklahoma that makes you just go, man, yeah, this guy's so much better than Sam Pittman? No. He's probably had the most difficult schedule, but no. Mike Elko over at Texas A&M. I think you'd at least consider it. Consider trading him up. I think Elko's a good coach. I think when he did at Duke was really good. I think A&M, are they going to be a national championship contending team? No, because they never are. But I think he's a solid coach. Billy Napier at Florida. I was a big Billy Napier fan when he was coming out of Louisiana. I probably wouldn't trade for him because if he's doing what he's doing at Florida, how could he do what he does and be better at Arkansas? But at the same time, no one has a more difficult schedule than what Florida has, seems like, every year. But that doesn't matter. You got to win. But I don't think I would just for sure trade straight up. Shane Beamer at South Carolina? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'd trade for him at this point in time. Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State? No. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt? Maybe, because he did have a pretty good year this year and had some big upsets. So I would probably trade him. But you see my point? I just went through all the other SEC coaches. All of them. And I have a hard time believing that I would trade Sam Pittman for all the other coaches not named Jeff Lebby. That's how I rank my coaches. And that's why, and again, this is just my list. I understand I'm not disrespecting their list. I'm talking about my list. That's why I put Sam Pittman above them. It's about who would you rather have? If you're doing straight up trades, who would you rather have? Who would you rather add? Out of all those names, folks, there's quite a few of them I wouldn't trade Sam Pittman for. It's not to say that I'm okay. It's not to say that I'm accepting mediocrity. I'm just telling you that I don't believe he is the second worst coach in the SEC right now. I really don't. The college football playoff is always a topic of conversation. I've always felt like the more it expands, the better chance Arkansas has of being in it. But 40 teams? We need to talk about that coming up next here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I am here to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to go in and get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. Which players are you going to be looking at? I mean, there's been some really great performances by a few of them. Are you believing that this player is going to get this amount of points, this player is going to get this amount of rebounds? We'll put them all together. Do a little same-game parlay action. Have some fun with it because you're going to get a great deal. For you newcomers, first-timers with FanDuel, it's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I wanted to bring this up too as well, folks, because college football always fascinates me, and I think that all of the ever-changing deals of how college sports are looked at, it's because of college football first and foremost. If any rule changes about NIL, if any rule changes about portal, if any rule changes about anything, not to say that basketball, baseball, and all that's not important, but it's college football is what moves the needle. The reason why it's the biggest moneymaker, and it's a reason why it's so chaotic right now. But one of the biggest questions has always been about college football playoff and expansion. Expansion has been an ongoing thing. And me personally, I always felt that when they expanded to 4 teams originally, it was not enough. I did not want just 4 teams. That did not make any sense. You shouldn't even call it a playoff. It's just there's too many teams involved. There's too many conferences involved because it would guarantee at least one Power 5 conference gets left out. It takes away from winning your conference championship. It doesn't give you anything because in baseball and in basketball and all these other sports, if you win your conference or at least your conference tournament, you get a guaranteed spot. So I feel like there needed to be some incentive. So they expanded to 12 teams, and it's been fine. Like, I don't think anyone's looked at it. It's saying, like, this is bad. Some of you may have, but I thought it was great. I thought that it needed some work, like the seeding, for instance. I don't think it needed to be like, oh, well, if you win your conference, you get this seed. No, it just needs to be take your top 12 teams and all the automatic bids and qualifiers and then just rank them 1 through 12. And there you go. There's your seeding. So I've been in favor of it. I think it's been great. I think this past year it was fun. And everybody that always talked about, oh, well, these blowouts, it's not good. Who wanted this? Who asked for this? There's blowouts in every sport in the playoffs, folks, and in postseason. Like NFL has it happen often. Like just because it happens once doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. But either way, it's a constant conversation. I know that SEC, Commissioner Sankey, as well as coaches, they've looked at it as far as possible what they want to do one way or the other. Do they want to expand, leave it the way they want? Like, whatever it is. Well, Matt Rhule of Nebraska, the head coach over there, which I actually like Matt Rhule. I think he's a good coach. But he was discussing the college football playoff and if it should expand and everything. This is according to Husker Online. He goes, quote, "The more spots, the better, man. Make that thing 40 and let's go." I think, again, you're talking about a league that we play 9 conference games where some others play 8. So I think that puts you at an automatic disadvantage. Okay. So first off, Matt Rhule, who says that, oh, well, we play 9 conference games while some others play 8. Well, that's kind of why the SEC put a rule in place of where you had to have a non-conference team against a Power 5 opponent. I mean, I don't think that's an advantage or disadvantage. I will say, though, unless you're like Missouri, who you play Boston College or UMass, most of the time you have a pretty difficult non-conference game, or at least a significant one. So I don't think that part of it you don't even play in there. There's no disadvantage or advantage to it. But when he's saying the more spots, the better, man, make that 40 and let's go, he's going a little tongue-in-cheek. I truly believe and truly hope that he does not want 40 teams. I think he's just talking about expanding it in a greater capacity. And you know why he's saying that? He's saying it's because the same thing that I've been saying when it comes to Arkansas. If you're at a place like Nebraska or Arkansas or wherever, the best chance that you have of getting into the college football playoff will always be about more teams. I'm not telling you or saying that I want 40 teams because I feel like that's the only way Arkansas can get in. But I'm telling you that if you're a Razorback fan and you want to be in the playoffs, it's usually the way it's going to go. I believe personally that it should stay at 12. I would hear arguments for 16, but no more than that. But as long as they keep making money, that's all they care about. But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it get to more than 16. I think 12 is perfect. I don't think anybody can complain or argue or get frustrated because they were the 13th team on the outside looking in. There will be, but I just ignore them because it doesn't matter. But I felt when it was 4 teams originally, it was not going to be in favor of Arkansas. Like Arkansas was going to have to do, even if Arkansas went undefeated, this is how I felt. And who knows, maybe I was wrong. But even if Arkansas went undefeated in a regular season, during the time it was a 4-team playoff, they'd find a way to get Arkansas out of that. Like they'd find a way to leave Arkansas out. Y'all know it. I know it. It's just how it is. But my whole point in how I felt about playoff and expansion and everything is that there should never, ever be a case in any sport where if you go undefeated in your regular season, that you do not have a chance to play for a national title. There's no other sport that does that. If you go undefeated in the Western Conference, Coast Conference, whatever, if you go undefeated, you're going to get into the NCAA tournament because you'll get an automatic bid. Will you win the championship? No, but you get a chance to. That's been my whole thing. If you go undefeated, you should have a chance. No matter, then why even play the sport? Why even play the game? You may lose, sure, but you may not. May upset some people. But that's always been my thing, is like make it to where you get everybody that goes undefeated, a spot in the playoff. But also goes back to my point about conference championships. I think those need to matter. If you get that, you get an automatic qualification in there. But when they expanded to 12, I'm like, okay, this is going to be Arkansas's chance. Because I still believe in Arkansas. I still believe in the program. I still believe it can be great. You've all heard me talk about this. I still believe it. I'm not bouncing off of that. I'm not running from that. I'm guaranteeing it that if Arkansas It's the right coach and the right support system in place. They can be a good football program. Look at Ole Miss. Tell me that they just light years ahead of Arkansas because of what? Well, they got a great coach and they got a great support system for that coach. So it can happen, but does not need to be 40 teams. Leave it to where it's at. Let's fix some other problems going on in college football before we start expanding into playoff and everything like that. So, but I'm going to complain, I'm sure, about something else coming up next. The SEC baseball tournament. Yeah, I have problems. We'll talk about it coming up next on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. The SEC tournament's going on right now in baseball. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's been some decent games, I guess. Most of them have been blowouts or going chalk. No, nothing too crazy in that front. But I watch it. I don't sit here and lock eyes with it and just cannot get enough of it. But I watch it. And I'm very thankful that they decided to move it to single elimination. That's the way it needs to be, man, especially with they got 16 teams. I'm all for that. It was dumb doing double elimination. Just knock it out. Knock it out as quickly as possible. If you want to win it all, then you go all out. If you're not trying to win it all, then take it easy. I think it's a good format and setup. But what's not good to me is that you play this in Hoover, Alabama at the Hoover Met. Now, I've been to the SEC tournament in baseball a few times. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the worst experience ever. It's not. It's not that. But it does get a little bit old. And if you go down there, it's just a weird vibe. I mean, if you're a baseball purist, it's probably right up your alley. But you go down there and it's a lot of little league kids. It's kids that people aren't fans of either team or any team. You'll have a good amount of some fans that travel. Some fans are in the area. But it's not a destination. It's not something that you put on your bucket list. Be like, oh, man, we got to go to the SEC baseball tournament. And you know what I think is part of it? It's because it's in Hoover, Alabama. Nothing against the fine city of Hoover. I love places that close at 9 o'clock across the board. But if you look at it, the SEC is the premier conference in college baseball, and it's not close. I'm not just saying that to do the chant SEC. It is the best, no questions. Okay? You have your football SEC championship game in Atlanta, Georgia Dome, or Mercedes-Benz Stadium, whatever it's called these days. It's where the Falcons play. I'd say it's pretty nice considering they just built it. But you are playing in a premier facility. Basketball. You're playing in Nashville, where a professional hockey team plays. Predators. Awesome facility right there in the heart of downtown in Nashville. Just chef's kiss beautiful. But your sport that you are truly the best at, far and away, not even close, with a great support system, where do you play? Hoover. Apparently, all the SEC coaches voted to keep it there a couple years ago, or maybe it was just past year. So maybe there's something about it they love, but I don't. To me, if you're going to be the best conference, you need to have your championship in a palace. You need to have it in a facility. You need to have it in a place that's a destination for some. I have felt many times and many years they need to have it at Globe Life. I know schedule-wise is there. I think the Big 12 has it in Globe Life, which is another thing that pisses me off. But you need to have it there, man. Have it in Globe Life where you're domed in. It's a beautiful facility. You're in Dallas, so Arlington. But it's easy to get to. It's easy to fly to. No, it's pretty affordable. And you're in a professional ballpark. Play it there. Play it in Tampa where the Rays play, for crying out loud. I'd love to see it in a dome where you don't have to worry about delays and games getting moved back and all of that stuff. It should never be the case, and I have my own feeling on TD Ameritrade or whatever it's called now in Omaha. But how crazy is it that if you're Arkansas, you play in Arlington at the beginning of the year? If you won the national championship, it doesn't matter because that's the nicest facility you're ever going to play in is during an early season event. It's the nicest facility you're going to play in, even if you win the title. What other sport do you have that? Like, obviously, local places are great. Playing in your own ballpark's great. But when it comes to the external, neutral site type of venues, Hoover just doesn't do it for me. It needs to move out. It won't, because no one cares. No one listens to me. I'm also the same terrible human being that you all are probably yelling at because I feel like the College World Series should move out of Omaha. But that's just me. And that's fine. My opinion. Of course, if you do agree with me, let me know so it'll hype me up a little bit. Either way, appreciate you all listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show. For any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel, tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. See you then.